What's up, people? Happy Sunday. Hope everybody enjoyed the weekend, had a fun Saturday night. And for those that watched the fight and who saw my prediction video yesterday that I dropped on Facebook, up on YouTube as well, I told you. I'm going to go into, make another video going into deeper detail, and I'll pull up some clips to play side by side with some of the points that I was making in my prediction video. But to me, that fight played out more or less the way that I thought it would if the weight wasn't going to be an issue, which it didn't end up being. With the weight not being an issue, that was not going to be a close fight. That was just my opinion. I said it in my video in July, and I said it again once I saw them during fight week. My opinion didn't really change. If anything, I got more conviction in my opinion that Terence Crawford was going to win that fight by decision. And I listed out various reasons and flaws in Canelo's game as to why that was going to happen. Check the video out. I put timestamps and all that stuff. But let me know what you guys thought about that fight. I thought that the first 3 to 4 rounds were pretty competitive. And then after that, you started to see the separation between the two. And I thought that Crawford was able to take it. I thought that he landed the cleaner shots. I thought that not only was he not bothered by the power, which I alluded to because I said he's not the small guy that you think he is, but he was able to physically get Canelo's respect with the power on his shots. And once that happened, then Bud had no problem, no qualms about standing in the pocket and exchanging when he wanted to with Canelo. And by the 9th round, when we were seeing the exchanges in that round and beyond, not only was he not scared, but he was getting the better of those exchanges with these short, crisp shots that were placed damn near with perfect precision and accuracy. Not only was he landing around the spots that he wanted to land at, he was able to do it consistently. And by the end of the fight, we started to see swelling over Canelo's right eye. And Canelo looked like he was checked out of the fight in those championship rounds. And there are a lot of Mexican legends that have been critical of Canelo over the years. And these are some of the things that I'm going to go into. So let me know what you guys think about the fight. Did you think Canelo was going to win? Did you think Crawford was going to pull it off? Let me know in the comments below, and then I'll go into all that in more detail. With that being said, I'm going to switch and segue over to the game today between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, the rematch of the Super Bowl matchup from February. We're out there at Arrowhead Stadium today. The major injuries that I'm aware of, or at least the new major injuries, would be the injury to Xavier Worthy's shoulder, the starting wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is a huge injury for them. And then the injury to Dallas Goedert. Goedert will be out of this game today. However, I never get his name right. The pass rusher that we just picked up that used to be a beast for the Packers as well as the Lions last year. Name starts with a Z. I'm just not going to say it wrong because I don't want to butcher it. So he's going to get his first start. That's a big addition to our pass rush. We need him. And then getting Jalen Carter back by default. Thankfully, he didn't get a suspension. It could have gone the other way, but he's going to be playing in this game. Hopefully, he learned his lesson. Hey, channel that energy, man. We need you on the field. And I think that's going to obviously boost the defense because you need him if you don't have CB2. They need that second cornerback spot to get addressed. Adoree Jackson is not the answer. Keely Ringo is not the answer. The other guys on the roster right now we don't know about, but I would want somebody more solidified at that second cornerback spot because they don't want to move Cooper DeJean away from the slot. I understand that, but at a certain point, you're going to have to address that or it's going to come back to bite you. Now, this week, the loss of Xavier Worthy, in my opinion, somewhat offsets that liability that we have at the second cornerback spot. Because now you're going to be dealing with guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, who's going to get more playing time, as well as Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, you're going to have most likely Quinyon on him. And then Juju Smith-Schuster, he's a slot guy. So you're going to have Cooper DeJean on him. And then beyond that is Kelsey. And then for Kelsey, now you have to figure out if you're going to rotate a rookie Makuba on him, or have Cooper DeJean shadowing Travis Kelsey from time to time. They have different things they can do there. So I don't really see how this is going to be terribly different from the matchup we had during the Super Bowl year. I think it will be closer. I don't see us blowing them out like we did. There are adjustments that they can make, but there's really only so much they can do unless Isaac Pacheco is really back to 100% and not a compromised player like he was down the stretch last year. He was not the same after that broken leg. Yeah, he came back, but he was a compromised player. Anybody with two eyes could see that before the Super Bowl and during the game. So he is an X factor that I think will make the game closer, because he's going to be able to grind out some of those first downs that the Chiefs were not able to get. But I still favor the Eagles in this game. They're favored by a half a point on the road. So it's a coin flip according to Vegas, but I think that the Eagles will win this 50-50 matchup. I think it's more of a 60-40 type of matchup. Maybe 65-35, but I'll say more 60-40. I still think that we have the edge in the trenches and on defense against their offense. But that loss of Josh Sweat, I think, is going to affect us. So we'll see how our new pass rusher does, if he's able to pick up that slack. And this is just the difficulty of picking games in the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. No matter how good or bad teams are, it's just knocking off that rust, that off-season rust. And since the starters for many of these teams don't play the preseason, you're just going to see these mistakes and these miscues in the first 2 to 3 weeks. And you're more prone to seeing upsets during the first 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm picking the Eagles to win this game, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs were able to pull the game out. Just because all teams during these first few weeks, the mistakes are going to come out. So, that's the way I see it. What's going on, Ryan? What's going on, Keith? Appreciate you tuning in to the podcast. Let me know who you think is going to win this game between the Eagles and the Chiefs. And then segueing over to my second team, the Las Vegas Raiders. Hey, just had a big fight in Allegiant Stadium last night. So, hey, I'm going to get to that, Keith. I'm going to get back to the boxing in a second. Raiders playing the Chargers. I believe we're at home. Correct me if I'm wrong with somebody, but we're playing the Chargers after getting the win over the Patriots in Week 1. I think that the Chargers are a better team right now. They're more complete. Quentin Johnson is playing well. Like, he's playing like a number 1 pick from last year now. They brought back Keenan Allen. They actually have a running back now with Hampton, so they're going to be a balanced offense. We're better because of the coaching. Pete Carroll. Obviously, we have Geno Smith. We have a competent quarterback now. You have Ashton Genty, who went off last week. I mean, he looked every bit of the running back he was in college last year. And then you have Jacoby Myers playing well in a contract year. So I think our offense is better. Our defense was halfway solid, but I think that we lose this game by maybe 3 to 7 points. But I think it'll be a very good game and hopefully a growing experience for this young Raiders team. And like I said, Keith, I think the Eagles pulled this game out in Arrowhead today. And then let me know what you think about that fight last night. Check my video, The Real, here on Facebook, or you can go to my YouTube, Gen Music 856. I called it. I've been calling it since July. Hell, I've been calling it since earlier in this year. Because I follow both fighters very closely. I've been following Canelo since he fought Mayweather. And I've been following Crawford since he had the fight against Victor Postol, which a lot of people are not going to know that name. That's about 5-6 years ago, maybe. I knew he was about that life when he beat Victor Postol, who was a very, very good fighter under Freddie Roach for a bit there. And I've been following him ever since. And since I seen him stop Sean Porter, that's when I knew. It wasn't even a Spence fight. It was the Sean Porter fight. When I saw that, I knew. And people, they look at his resume and they don't give him credit. They look at who have you fought, but there's never any nuance and detail. And this is going to be a little 5-minute rant I'm going to give right now. And this applies beyond boxing, but what I noticed as I go through life and I become wiser and older is that people, they often look at surface level details and they never really consider what is under the surface. Some people may even go a few levels under the surface, but they don't really want to go into detail because it requires effort. It requires considering that there may be multiple factors that may determine an outcome as opposed to just one singular thing. And people like to grab onto one or two singular things, often without context, and then think that that's going to back up the answer that they think is going to happen. No. Or back up the way they think things are going to play out. When I looked at this fight, one, the big narrative going into this fight was he's too small. Canelo's going to walk him down. It'll be a nice little exhibition for a couple rounds, and then he's going to steamroll his ass. And what I was trying to tell people is, one, Bud is not as small of a person as you think he is. If you pay attention to the details and you follow his career, he's just not. The dude is a guy that walks around at 180, 185, and he's a wrestler with a very strong base. Like, people don't understand. And he has, from what I can surmise, thick bone density. Pause. Because he can do things that a guy at his weight cannot do, typically. And secondly, listen and listen well. Whether you're a casual fan or whether you are an aficionado of the sport, a connoisseur, if you will. Everything starts and ends with your damn feet. Whether it's a combat sport, a martial art like boxing, or other martial arts, or whether you're talking about other sports like baseball, basketball, football, it don't matter. If your feet are fucked up, you're fighting an uphill battle. And people got all wrapped up in, oh, what if he catches him? What if he lands the power? I'm like, if your feet ain't there and the other guy's feet are better, you got issues. How are you going to land the power? And I'm speaking from experience as somebody who's grown up in the dojo, somebody who's taken that knowledge and applied it to boxing, somebody who's boxed recreationally and taken those things from the dojo and got a chance to see what things work and what things don't work against people who are not as skilled as me, and more skilled than me. So you get a chance to see what works. And then you'll come outside and you'll listen to people who have never had a fight outside of a schoolyard fight, or, outside of a club or in the streets with their friends, try to tell you about fighting as if they just know what they know. It's like you don't have the insight, right? I'm not saying you have to get in the ring to see these things, but they certainly help because you understand what things work and what things don't based off of what the fundamentals are. And I'm reading the comments here from Keith. He said, Bud fights round for round like a chess match. And he certainly does. And that's why him and Usyk were playing chess in the time leading up to this fight. There was actually video footage of them sitting down, just getting a chance to talk to each other, probably about life, boxing, whatever. And they were playing chess because Usyk recognizes real. And Alexander Usyk, another one of my top pound-for-pound fighters, and he should be considered a top pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. He said Crawford is like that, man. When they said, who's your number one pound-for-pound fighter, he said, it's not me, it's Crawford. He can see it, okay? Now, that's debatable, but the point is, when other greats like that, a guy that went up to heavyweight from cruiserweight, beating those guys. He was undisputed at cruiserweight, cleaned that division out. Then went up to heavyweight when people said you're too small. Went up and beat guys like Anthony Joshua twice. Beat Fury twice. When he's saying Crawford's like that, what more do y'all people need to hear? Roy Jones Jr. saying it. Timothy Bradley, who sparred Crawford back in the day when Bradley was at the top of his game. The Timothy Bradley that fought Manny Pacquiao 3 times is telling you that Terence Crawford is like that. But people are like, whatever, he crazy, he hating, he just saying it because he black. No, he's saying it because he's been in the ring with greats as a great himself and real recognized real, man. And like you said, Keith, footwork. When I would be in sparring in the dojo and I would go against people, the first thing that I look at, whether I'm a spectator on the sidelines or whether I'm right in front of them with the gear on about to spar, and mind you, a lot of times we would spar with no gear on. You know, we're not killing each other, but it's no gloves on the hands, no pads on the feet, no headgear. We just sparring, okay? We like that, okay? And the first thing I look at is your feet. If your feet are slow, if your feet are clunky, if you look like you lack fundamentals, I'm like, I'm about to eat. This is about to be food. Even if the guy is swinging like Mike Tyson. If you can't close the void, it don't matter. 1, you're going to have a hard time getting to me. And 2, if you do, I'm going to be moving out before you can even plant your feet and really get leverage on your shots. 3, and I'll give y'all a clue what I pointed out. If my front foot, if I'm winning the battle of foot positioning, especially if one person's southpaw and the other person's orthodox, and I keep my foot outside your lead foot, it's over. Even if you can land your shots, you can't turn your body and land with the leverage you need to make me respect you anyway if you got power. Like, these are the little details people don't think about. So I'm like looking on film and I'm like, yo, if he's able to move to the outside of Canelo's lead foot like Arislani Laura, or like he was against Madrimov, who has excellent feet, but if he's able to get his feet outside of Madrimov, win the positioning battle against him, or win the positioning battle against guys like Earl Spence and Sean Porter and some of these other guys, what makes you think he's not going to do the same thing against Canelo? A lot of these fans don't even know to consider these things, let alone take them seriously when you talk to them about it. So, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to place my bet on DraftKings. And the reason why is because I don't sports bet. So I wasn't going to put down money and lose out on my promos. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I put my prediction out there so maybe others could see my prediction and make money from all these fools that were putting their money on Canelo. Everybody's pouring money into Canelo. And anybody that looked at videos like mine or Timothy Bradley's or Roy Jones Jr. or some of these other channels that were picking Terence Crawford and actually had objective and well thought out analysis to back up their claims, you would have made a lot of money. So this is also part of the reason why I put these videos out is for educational purposes. So right, wrong, or indifferent, get the math right. Anybody can get the answer right, but did you have the right math to get that answer? Because I'm wrong sometimes. That it happens. However, I'm right more often than I'm wrong because I got the math right. The reasoning, the rationale, the logic behind the pick is sound. So whether you're looking at me or other channels or whatever, think about the logic and the rationale coming from the people you're listening to. And those that make their predictions off of emotions, stop looking at them channels, man. Because all they're going to do is make you lose your money. And if for some reason you do get into fighting, you're not going to necessarily understand the basics or fundamentals. And, you know, you may go into that ring thinking a lot, using the logic that you use to predict some of these fights, or some of these channels are using to predict some of these fights. You're going to go into that ring thinking things that aren't going to necessarily come true in reality. You may go into that ring thinking, I'm bigger than that guy, so I'm just going to punch down on him without considering things like footwork, punch placement, changing angles, controlling the center line. These nuances that separate the good from the great, or even the good from the average. So, rant over, but just some things to consider. Let me know what you guys think about, the fight, my prediction, and what do you think is going to happen with the NFL slate with the Eagles and the Chiefs, as well as the Raiders and the Chargers, if you are a Raiders fan, in fact. With that being said, I'm going to go out and get some food and get ready to watch this Eagles game, and catch y'all later. Go Birds. And congrats, Bud, and respect to Canelo. Very, very, very great night of boxing last night, but congratulations to Bud Crawford for becoming a 3-time undisputed champion, once in each of 3 weight classes, 147, 140, and 168 pounds. Legendary work. All right, y'all. Peace.